Well, just when you thought it was safe to play the Dodgers, they signed Kyle Tucker. Holy Batman, what is going on in baseball? Ranger Suarez was the lead. Move over, Ranger. He got a bigger fist to fry.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
Well, and just like that, Mike, we are back to the bullpen. I mean, when you played, you were in the bullpen every day expecting to pitch. I didn't think that every show we came on lately, some big news would happen. I mean, I sent you a text. You were doing your thing, training baseball players.
That's right.
And lo and behold, Kyle Tucker bumped Ranger Suarez in the order of topics to discuss when we're bringing it back to the bullpen.
And I'm sure Ranger is really upset about that back to the bullpen, he got overshadowed by a former Astro. First, I have to tell everyone, sorry for being a little late. I was actually working with friend of the show, Austin Dean, getting him ready to go to spring training, which people need to remember. He leaves in, I think, about 10 days, maybe.
Wow.
They have a 2-month spring training. They do a month here in the States, and then they do another month in Korea. So, you know, he's leaving. He actually spent all day downtown getting all the paperwork for his visa, his work visa, Korean work visa, whatever he had to do.
Right.
And so he came to see me a little bit later, but always good to see Austin. Yeah, this is it's not surprising. I mean, what have we been saying this whole offseason? Not to toot my own horn, but I told you it was going to take after the new year before everything to start happening. Now, I can't really say with this contract that the prices really came down. Absolutely remarkable. Kyle Tucker. No, they said the whole time that if the Dodgers were going to be the team that signed Kyle, it was going to be a shorter term deal. And it's only 4 years. Only 4 years. That's all. But the AAV and the total is pretty remarkable, pretty incredible.
No, it is. And I mean, let's just get into those details, because I know a lot of people would call the Dodgers now the devil. So the devil is in the details. I mean, he has just signed a deal that's going to give him $60 million a year over the next 4 years, Mike. Mm-hmm. And his second and third year, he has opt-outs. So in the words of Jared Carabas, the team that got better and did the most in the offseason is the team that just won back-to-back World Series titles, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And, you know, I jokingly tweeted out that they are in negotiations with Afterpay, Affirm, and other spending houses to see how they can get deferred money and pay this in, you know, installments with an interest rate that's not too high.
Well, I mean, we haven't got all the details of the deal. Yes, it's a $240 million 4-year deal. That's what's being reported right now. Which, hey, listen, that's fine. The Dodgers can spend as much money as they want. That doesn't guarantee them any kind of wins. You know, I'm going to go back to this last World Series, and the Blue Jays outplayed the Dodgers for most of that World Series. There was just an inadvertent home run in the top of the 9th inning that you know tied the game, and then the Dodgers won an extra inning. So they won the 4 games, but the Dodgers or the Blue Jays played better than the Dodgers. So this, you know what? Listen, congratulations to Kyle. Kyle has been waiting for a long-term deal. I know this may not sit that well with the Astros fans, but I'll just say one thing. Can you blame him? Would you pass it up just because it's the Dodgers? Would you pass up $240 million? I don't think so.
No, I would paint my face blue and let that blue be something that is
Tommy Lasorda, bleed blue. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. No, like as much as I don't like the Dodgers, as much as I'm not a big Dodgers guy at all, even though I've got the Dodger blue behind me. I mean, the whole world's turning Dodger blue. You know, I do have some Dodgers baseball cards. You know, I'm a collector, but you know, Sandy Koufax, I found one of my Koufax graded cards. Got to love that. But 60 million, Mike.
It's crazy. It's a
That's
crazy number,
huge.
but hey, it ain't coming out of my checkbook, so whatever.
Right. I mean, but when you look at this potential lineup, okay, for the Dodgers,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you talk about the Otanis, when you talk about Max Muncy, I mean, these guys in this lineup right here, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Kyle Tucker, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Tommy Edman, and Hyesung Kim.
Mm-hmm.
That is about as complete lineup that we've seen put together in Major League Baseball.
You know, I'm going to say something that people may not agree with, and if you don't, by all means, you can reach out to me, or you can reach out here on the show if you're listening. I think this is good for baseball.
Really?
I really do. And the reason is because baseball needs an evil empire. I played for the evil empire.
You did. You did.
For the late 90s, early 2000 Yankees. We were hated across the country. And that was okay. I had no problem with other teams, hating us and yelling and screaming and everything, as long as they came out and bought tickets. And that's exactly what's going to happen when the Dodgers come into town. They are going to sell out almost everywhere. Everything that happens, we're gonna cover all the ins and outs, and that's what that's how it works. But you need a villain, and if it's Kyle Tucker is part of that. We'll always have a soft spot in our heart for him. But yeah, he's with the bad guys now, so you're gonna have to root against him.
Yeah, exactly. Astro Wolf Craig goes, who would opt out of a $240 million?
That's contract? Actually, when you said about the opt-outs, if you noticed, I did giggle. I'm like, well, I mean, let's say it's not going to happen. Okay. Right. Because, the issues what's the one issue that Kyle Tucker has? The one issue is staying on the field. That's really, I think, one of the big reasons why it's taken this long. I think that's one of the reasons why it's only a 4-year deal and he had to settle for a 4-year deal. Of course, yes, it's still $60 million a year at $240 million, all that, but it's still not a 7, 8, 9-year deal.
Right.
Listen, he goes off for a year or two. There may be, he gets more towards the end of that contract, and he's only owed $80 million over the I'm not doing the math, $120 million over the next 2 years.
Right.
There may be more money on the table. Who knows? And that's why you get the opt out. And that's the in vogue thing to do right now in Major League Baseball. We're going to get to Alex Bregman here in just a minute. He actually, went against the trend and got a low trade clause for his deal. But we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I really look at this and I say, okay, that's fine. It gives you someone to root against. It gives you a bad guy. You need, for every Batman, there has to be a Joker.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite aspects of the Dark Knight series that Christopher Nolan directed, and probably my all-time favorite series in all the different Batman franchises that have come out. And it's like when the Joker's like, you need me.
That's right.
You need me. Like you can't kill me. I need you. You need me. Without each other, we're nothing.
Yeah.
And, the ire and the hatred in all the Astros fans, Kyle Tucker is dead to me. I mean, the dramatics.
Hey, you're complete. I'm okay with all of that. Now, I mean, anything going any further in that death threat, something like that. We don't want that. But listen, the venom, that's fine. That's fine. That's your prerogative as a fanatic of Major League Baseball and a fanatic of the Astros. So that's why I say that is good for baseball. It is. You need to have villains.
Exactly. And now Kyle Tucker, is he within the Boris Corp? Is he a Boris guy?
I think he is. Yes.
Yeah. So he's a Boris guy. Alex Bregman is a Boris guy.
Yep.
And look, Alex Bregman going to Chicago. Let me just throw a couple things out there that he said at his press conference today.
Well, give us the terms of the deal first.
Okay. So are you talking about for Alex Bregman?
For Alex. Yes, for Alex.
So Alex Bregman, I believe it was 5 years, 175, but technically it's 165 over the term of the contract with, inflation and all that stuff.
And deferrals.
In deferral. So here's the deal.
Yeah.
$35 million a year AAV, but in 2026, $15 million deferred. In 27 and 28, $10 million deferred. This is per John Heyman. In 2029, $15 million deferred. And in 2030, the Cubs are deferring $20 million.
Yeah.
So that is, I mean, that is a $70 million of the 175 with the Cubs is deferred.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to me, it's semantics. It's still a contract that's worth it's $170 million. I mean, you look at Shohei's contract, Shohei's, $700 million contract that was only worth somewhere between 430 and 460.
Right.
Because of the big deferrals that he has. Still a $700 million contract. I mean, the only one you look at and you really gasp at is Juan Soto. His what was a $765 million contract with no deferrals. I think it's a 13-year deal. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, but it's still, when you get to the details, that's fine. We can talk about it all we want, but that's still, this contract is still, 5 years, 175.
I mean, the interest alone that you can gain on taking this money and just putting it in a basic savings account, which doesn't really yield. If you know anything about investing, it's one of the worst yielding, savings.
It's just a few percentage points. Yeah.
But I'll take a few percentage points of all that money.
Oh, heck yeah. And by the way, on all those deferrals, the interest is also negotiated.
Okay. So Mike, explain this to our viewers, because I understand how they are paid in Major League Baseball. Everyone assumes, he's in California, he's getting all these taxes. You're taxed on where you play those games. So if you get paid for games when you play in Cincinnati and Houston, but 81 of those games are in LA, you get taxed differently, correct, when you're going throughout the season?
There's a whole lot of different tax laws. Even when I was still playing, when I filed my taxes every year, it was literally, 2 inches thick, because everywhere you play, every city, every state, you're double taxed, you're triple taxed. Every state and every city you played in, you got taxed. Okay. Where you live, where you play, you also, there's additional tax. So, no one's ever going to feel sorry for a baseball player, but, these guys are in, 45, 47% tax bracket. A large portion of what they make actually goes to, all the way across the country. But being, playing 81 games in California, even if you claim another residence, Texas, Florida, I think Tennessee are all non-income tax states, you're still playing 81 games in California. So they are going to be able to get you for 81 games.
But I mean, look, and I'll just say this money is so stupid. It's like he could literally carry around $10,000 a day and lose it for a whole year, and it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
it's monopoly money. I mean, it's the numbers, it's like our national debt. That's not a real number. No one can even fathom how big a number that really is. So you don't even try to equate it, to cheeseburgers or something or something like that. So, yeah. But listen, Bregman going to the Cubs, that's a big deal. We're going to talk about that here in just a second again. The Dodgers get Kyle Tucker. That's still, how many wins do they have right now? 0, just like everybody
Exactly.
else. So that does not guarantee anything at all. Makes them a very tough team. There's no doubt about that. But, that it's still a team that can be beat.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, they almost got beat this last year. I mean, they were just a couple outs away from being the second place guys.
Right.
And look,
if that would have happened, can you imagine what they would have done this offseason? They would have signed everyone.
They would have signed Bregman, Tucker,
everyone,
Valdez. It would have been the Houston West Astros. I mean, the Twins there for a while had a bunch of former Astros on it, and so you got all these different,
so
Bregman
signs the deal. What'd you say? It's 5 years or 6 years, 175.
5 years, 175.
175.
Yeah.
Okay. Going to play third base. You can tell us about some of his quotes here in a second. I love the fact that he didn't want any opt-outs. He wanted a no trade clause. He wants to be in Chicago. He wants his, if he's making the effort to be a Cub, wanting to be a Cub, then he wants to make sure that the Cubs want him. So without that, with the full no trade clause, now that doesn't mean he can't be traded. That means he just has to okay any trade. But, he's buying into the Cubs. He's making sure the Cubs are buying into him for the full term of the contract.
Well, today when he introduced himself to Chicago, he said, I'm a winning baseball player and I come here to win baseball games. And he took on number 3. Number 2 is worn by Nico Horner.
Mm-hmm.
We all know and why he was number 2, because he was the number 2 pick. And now he's playing alongside Dansby Swanson. So there wasn't some, dramatics about, I don't want to be wearing this number next to him. But like you and I talked before, I mean, it's Nico's number. And he said, I would like to win a 3rd world championship. Now the undertone,
you knew he was going to have a reason. He wasn't just going to take a number just to take a number. And, and one thing that we always have known about Alex, when you put a camera in front of him, he's going to say the right thing. And he's going to, whether he believes it or not, and there's no reason to question him. He's going to say he is a great teammate. He is a great leader. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to go on there. He just made the Cubs franchise a big step forward. There was always some question about the leadership of that team. There's no question about it now. It's going to be Alex Bregman.
Yeah, exactly. A couple things that Alex Bregman did say at the press conference. Number 1, he signed the deal, the no trade clause, because he's got a young family. He doesn't want to move around. He said back in 2016, him, his dad, and his brother actually did a 3-day just real fast tour of Chicago, and they went to a Bears game, they went to a Cubs game, and they went to a Bulls or a Blackhawks game.
Okay.
So they got to see 3, and he said, hey, he was seen at the hockey game. He was also seen at the Bulls game yesterday. They asked him about the news of, the news of you signing broke during the playoff game. And he was like, what were you thinking? He said, well, I was talking to Reagan, because he goes, we were at dinner when it was announced publicly. And he said, I looked at Reagan. He said, well, this could go one of 2 ways. If the Bears lose,
it's all his fault.
They won. Right. But another thing I would like you to speak on is the GM said, look, Alex Bregman, the day after he signed, he goes, we called him the day after that he opted out of the Boston deal. And we had talked to him last year, but the next morning, this time when he signed, He wanted the minor league baseball hitting coordinator's phone number. He wanted all the contact information, had already started contacting the players, wanted footage on the hitters in their system, because he said, when I get to spring training, I want to make sure that we're talking on the same level and I'm not speaking a language that y'all aren't speaking. I want to get on the same page with everyone.
Yeah. It makes
huge.
complete sense. I mean, you're talking about Alex Bregman as cool as he is, with all the things he's done, all the success he's had. He's still a baseball nerd. I mean, you remember Astros, we loved Garrett Cole talking to everyone, looking at, getting information. I talked to Garrett one time, right before the playoffs. He called me. He called me over, said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I was like, "What? Really?" That's who Alex Bregman is. That's why I said there is not going to be any question about any kind of leadership, what's happening with the Cubs, because it's going to go through Alex Bregman, and he's already doing that. He's going to talk baseball with anybody and everybody, not because he has to, because he wants to.
Wow.
And the whole idea of him wearing number 3, I love the fact that he had a reason. He was going to have a reason. I love the reason why. At least he doesn't have any kind of curse that he's got to overcome. Like, what was it, 108 years that the Cubs didn't win the World Series. They've won now, so it's still been a while, but it's not anywhere close to that. But that's just who Alex is. He's going to do everything he can to help that team win and put another ring on his finger.
Well, and I think the undertones speak kind of an ode to Houston, because if you talk to people outside of Houston, or fans in particular, they'll say, "Oh, Houston only has one title because of 2017." And he said, "I want a third title," recognizing. I'm just saying, as an Astros enthusiast myself, that meant a lot to me.
As an Astros fanatic that you are, yes. Yeah. No, I mean that, because listen, hey, it's still, listen, you can say Astros all you want. Who's the world champions in 2017? It was the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's just the simple fact. I mean, that's not, there's no question. You might not like it, but there's no question that the Astros won in 2017. So, I think that, this is a good thing. I mean, and it's good to see Alex, get the honor and the privilege of doing what he has, honoring what he has done in his career by getting a long-term deal. So, all good, man. It's good to see these former Astros signing elsewhere. That's the nature of the business. There's still one out there, pretty big name. That is still on the market.
There is. Now, I do want to get to Ranger Suarez, and I do want to get to Framber Valdez, but Jeff Passan just gave the full detail of the contract. So I'm going to read it to you. And I said Passan because I think I said Passan on one of our shows, and someone accused me of not being a ball knower, but that's okay. So full details of Kyle Tucker's contract per ESPN sources. This is directly from Jeff Passan. 4 years, $240 million guaranteed. Opt-outs after years 2 and 3. $64 million signing bonus. Why do you need a signing bonus? Anyways, $30 million.
Go ahead.
$30 million deferred. $57.1 a year in net present value after factoring in deferrals, a record by $6 million plus.
Okay. I don't know if I followed that, but, the signing bonus, I'm not exactly sure, but the signing bonus may actually knock down the AAV.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's why
what
they
it is. So it takes that out, so they can't charge that per year to the team.
And then the deferrals. So the AAV is not going to be $60 million. And then you take the deferrals, that also knocks down, because they don't do the referrals on the overall contract. They do it on the actual daily, today's value of that contract. And that's where some of the numbers you were talking about. So, the AAV hit still going to be substantial, but because of the signing bonus and because of the deferrals, it will be knocked down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently Scott Robb wants, he says, just fit Paul Skeens in a
Paul
Dodger
Skeens, go
uniform
ahead and do
already.
it.
I mean, who's next? Nick Kurtz and Paul Skeens.
Right.
But one other thing, I talked about the Dodgers basically have announced unofficially that they're going to sign 3 WBC teams: USA, Canada, and Mexico. The LG Twins and the Cebu Lions from the KBO and the NPB. So I mean, who else can they sign? I mean, it's insane. But Ranger Suarez gets a deal with Boston.
Right.
And my original title of the show was Boston Loves Lefties. Tell me, Mike, the old 2-9er, the lefty himself, what is it about lefties that Boston likes?
Left-handed starting pitchers. Now, it's not, and it's because of the stadium. Okay. It's not nearly what it used to be, because you go back to Bruce Hurst was a tall left-hander that had a good career, but when he was in Boston, he pitched very well. And the reason why, they played a lot of day games, a lot of games started, at the dusk. And because of the way the stadium was set up and the hitter's eye, you couldn't see the ball. You couldn't see the ball out of his hand. And there's still some of that, because it's still at the same stadium. Now they've covered some seats and they've rearranged some stuff, but they've always loved the idea of having left-handed starting pitching. You go, well, hold on. You've got the green monster in left. Yeah. But most of the pitchers are going to throw away. Ranger Suarez has high velocity. He's got good 2-seam run, arm side run on his ball. It's not necessarily easy to pull him. The big part of that ballpark is center field and right field. And there are times, especially when it's cold, you can hit it all you want. You need an anti-aircraft gun to get it out of Fenway Park. So that's why they love left-handers. And it's good to see that the Red Sox, didn't, kick rocks about not being able to sign Bregman. I think there was a lot of Red Sox fans that were upset about that, because the deal was there. The deal, all they had to do was just finalize the deal, another year or a few more dollars or whatever. But they pivoted very quickly, and they went out and got one of the top left-handed free agents on the market in Ranger Suarez.
Now, I don't remember if it was Michael Kay or the radio voice of the New York Yankees, but I remember Mike Stanton hit a home run, or you thought he hit a home run, in a game versus the Red Sox. And Mike Stanton hits this ball. And
you're talking about Giancarlo Stanton.
Giancarlo Stanton, yes. Yes. I'm sorry, my bad. Giancarlo. See, I still call him Mike. My bad. Giancarlo Stanton hits this ball, and you hear the announcer say, "A Stantonian blast."
Okay, that would have been John Sterling.
Okay, he goes, "This ball is flying out of the park," and then he goes, "Wait, I think he caught it. Wait, it didn't even go out of the park."
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
And hey, and when Giancarlo hits the ball, they do not stay in the park very often. But yeah, I mean, you got the triangle in center field that goes out to, I think, 440 feet. And then right field is just big, but also the way the air moves in the stadium, it doesn't necessarily carry to center and right field. It actually carries to left, which, great. That's exactly what you need when you got the short porch and the green monster.
Exactly. And I remember talking about Giancarlo Stanton. There was a player, and of course his name completely leaves my mind. Used to play for the Orioles, was a center fielder before Cedric Mullen. And if I said his name, you would know him. He caught 2 line drives in a row from Stanton and Judge. He was out for the next 3 weeks. He had a bruised palm. He caught 2 balls at 119 mile an hour plus.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, they just blistered that ball. Now, there's another big dog on the market that hasn't been picked up, and there hasn't been really much chatter. I mean, there's been speculative talk, but Framber Valdez is still waiting. I mean, he's got a 20-minute video of "I'm a good guy." I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, there's question whether that did anything positive. We'll have to wait and see. Whoever signs him, we'll have to see if that video actually had anything to do with
the video. I want to see the video.
Yeah, right. Now, Ranger Suarez was 6 years, 130. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yes.
26 per year. Okay.
Right.
And somebody tweeted out right after he signed it, he goes, Framber Valdez is happy now because now he's got a starting point. And that's probably
Yes.
right.
That was actually Chandler Rome.
It was
tweeted
Chandler. It was Chandler. One of the things that that I've said is, one of the dirty word in free agency is patience, because you have to have patience. Everybody has a market.
Right.
Some are bigger than others. One of the problems you have is you don't know when that market is going to materialize. And, I would think that with these big name free agents coming off in the last week or so, Framber's is probably starting to materialize. And I would think that we would at least have some information on who he's negotiating with or something, in the next week or so. Does he sign? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Are there examples of big name free agents not getting their deal until much, much later? Yeah. The number one was Prince Fielder with the Texas Rangers. It took, I can't remember who it was that got hurt. Somebody got hurt in spring training that played first base, and Prince was still waiting on the big deal.
Yeah.
And it came about, unfortunately for Rangers fans and unfortunately for Prince, his career was cut a little bit short because of some injury issues. But that was like the second or third week of spring training. I mean, you were already playing games when Prince got his deal. So it does happen. And then there's also examples of guys not getting their deals at all. Now, that's not going to be Framber because Framber is so good and so valuable, but you just have to wait and be patient to figure out exactly, how does that market materialize? Who is it and what's it for? But he should get well north of what Ranger got.
So a little fun fact about Prince Fielder. My dad was living in Florida at the time. I'm originally from Florida, from the Melbourne area, which is like Central Atlantic coast. Mm-hmm. And so he was in Melbourne, and he heard about this kid who was playing in Jupiter, Florida, named Prince Fielder. And he was like, "Is that Cecil Fielder's son?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he had a buddy that lived there, and he's like, "Hey, you need to come watch him play one night." My dad said he saw him hit a home run. Mm-hmm. He said, "Son, if it didn't go 700 feet, it went 900 feet." He obliterated the baseball.
Yeah. I mean, a big, hard swing, but was still a good hitter with the swing. I saw Prince Fielder in the late 90s playing with Cecil with the Yankees, take batting practice in Yankee Stadium at 14 years old and just wearing out the upper deck in right field. I mean, just wearing it out. I mean, you had no doubt that this dude was going to be a big time power hitter in the big leagues.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what, Mike? We do have some Astros news. They had international signings, and Princess Romero, who is probably one of the leaders, if not the leader in international signings for Major League Baseball. He's real connected with the Astros, but they signed a Dominican infielder, Imanol Feliz. I can't spit it out. $700,000 bonus. Mm-hmm. He's considered an advanced hitter with strong contact skills. And then a Cuban outfield, Jack Volbrun, for a bonus of $375,000. And those aren't the only two. There are a lot of guys in here now. Some of these guys are
I think there were like 8, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're 13. No,
13.
A lot of them are 16 and 17, but there are some older guys that will go into the minor leagues.
I mean, I'm not talking about 8 years old. I'm talking about 8.
Oh, I thought you meant there. Oh, I thought you were making a joke.
No. Can't joke about that kind of stuff.
My bad. No. Well, because a lot of these guys are really like when they sign them are really young.
Sure.
But
8 would be
it's like 8.
That's quite a long projection. But you know what, Prince? You might have saw Prince at 8 years old.
I can imagine, dude.
What does all this mean? I mean, it doesn't mean a whole lot for the big league team, at least not immediately. Right. What this does, what the first thing that came to mind? This is Dana Brown doing Dana Brown things. This is what Dana
Exactly.
Brown was brought on, was to build up that minor league system. And there's many ways of doing it. And, so who were these guys? These guys are minor league international free agents, which means they can sign with any team for whatever amount they want to sign for.
Yeah.
And, the one player, Feliz, signing for $700,000, that means there's a high projection there. This should be a guy that in pretty short order, we should be hearing his name, if not in Houston, pretty close to it.
Yeah, exactly. And you even had Joe Espada at the signing, and Yainer Diaz was there in person. So that was probably neat for these young, budding, talented stars. And, and that's why baseball, I think, is so special, because of the amount of players that do play. Like, what is it, like around 750 major league players each season? I don't know what the exact number is, but you have these millions and hundreds of thousands of talented young men that fight their whole life. And it's the very few, guys like yourself and others that make it to that level. But the fight is real. The desire is raw, I think, for a lot of these international guys. And, you like to hear these stories when they do come up. And, the Astros have had a history of bringing up guys through their system and seeing players develop. But they've also signed guys like Pedro Leon, guys in the past that haven't really panned out.
Well, and listen, that's, how many, just because you're a number one overall pick doesn't mean you're going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, there's risk in all of them. And, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, but you need the bodies, and what percentage actually does work out. It's a relatively small percentage, but you gotta put in the work. You got to put in the due diligence. You got to put in the dollars to get those few guys that do end up supporting your major league staff.
I've got my TikTok live on right now, and someone said the Dodgers have completed the Infinity Gauntlet. In other words, from the Marvel movies where, you get all the Infinity Stones. I mean, but look, you still have to play the games.
Yep.
You still have to win at the end of the season. Nobody cares unless you win the last game of the season.
Well, I mean, that's really what they've done and they already had these expectations going in, winning the last two World Series. That is another dirty word. Expectations is a dirty word, because now, I mean, hell, this team's probably supposed to win 120 games next year. I mean, if they don't,
they've got to break the A's record, right? Oh, no. Is it the Mariners? Is it the Mariners? Okay, Mariners.
It's not the A's. The A's, I think, didn't the A's have the worst? I think maybe
they had the worst, but they got up
there.
It's
116 is the
116.
record. 116 is the record. That's the 2001 Seattle Mariners. Very good team, but they lost to the evil Empire in the playoffs.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to speak it into existence. Astros versus Dodgers World Series. Kyle Tucker returns to Daikin Park.
Well, he'll return during regular season anyways. Well, maybe I know. We have to look at. They play the Dodgers, but I don't know if they play in Houston or they play in.
But man, can you imagine? Can you imagine that headline?
You know what?
I mean,
didn't they play in LA last year? So they may play in Houston.
And the Astros destroyed them last year.
Yeah, but I think that was in LA. So they very well may play in Houston.
They may play here. That'll be a big ticket. That'll be a hot ticket.
And you know what the Astros fans will do? Exactly what they should. They're going to give him. They'll have a tribute. The Astros are very good at this. Have a nice tribute before the game, standing ovation, all that kind of stuff. Thank you. And then when he gets in the regular and gets into the game, they're going to get booed. That's how it should be.
Exactly. No, I hear you, man. This has been a pretty exciting session going back to the bullpen with you today, Mike. I mean, a lot of really fun things to talk about. And look, I think 2026 season is going to have so many storylines that, we're probably going to have to meet a little bit more often on the mic and talk throughout the season. And, that's what I love. One of the things we'll be doing is expanding the show to talk about everything Major League Baseball, not just the Astros. So Astros fans, hold tight. We'll still be here to talk Astros, but we're going to have league-wide stories to cover. and, bring in maybe some other voices to sit down with us. Mike and I are excited about this because, Mike, you don't just want to, I love talking about the Astros. You love talking about the Astros.
Sure.
We did it on TV for years. You're doing it here the last two going in. It's going to be our third season, Mike. This will be our
crazy,
third,
isn't it? That's
our third opening day as Back to the Bullpen. So.
Yeah, it's been a fun run, and like we said, we've got some things on the horizon that Back to the Bullpen, going to have a lot of things to talk about. So we'll just have to wait and see, and we'll keep an eye on Framber because I expect us having news on Framber in the next few days, and we get all these Astros off this free agent list.
Exactly. But you know what? There's still more to talk about. There's still more to come. For myself, everybody here at Back to the Bullpen, Mike and I enjoy y'all. Thank y'all for subscribing. Hey, our viewership is growing. The people that are watching the show is growing, and we're getting new followers every day. So hang in there. Baseball is just around the corner. WBC is just around the corner. It's going to be fun. We got plenty to talk about. And we'll always make sure that we'll make it worth your while when we go back to the bullpen.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat it low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking like we ain't